Hello everyone, Jason Reno here with Keith Reno of the Reno team of Wintrust Mortgage here on today's Real Estate Beat, edition of today's Real Estate Beat with our good friend and referral partner, Elgin Walker. How are you, buddy?
Fine. How you guys doing today?
Excellent, thank you. So what's the hot topic for today? What are we going to inform our clients with?
Well, I'd like to touch on working with the buyer. New buyer calls you, they're interested in looking at some property. Elgin, what's the first step when a buyer initially gets in contact with you?
Well, it's funny. The majority of the time when a buyer calls for the first time, they don't understand the process at all. And the first thing they want you to do is jump in the car and start showing them houses. And although I know there are a lot of people that do it that way, I've kind of decided that my car is like not yellow. So it's not a taxi. So I'm not looking to be a taxi driver. I'm looking to really help people get into their home. So the first thing that I do is I tell them the process is to get themselves pre-approved. And in pre-approving them, I like to pass them on to you guys and wait for them to come back. They definitely need financing first.
Certainly. And on the pre-approval, that's where we're looking at income, credit, down payment, and then with those three key components, we can really determine what's going to be the best loan structure when it comes to down payment, monthly payment, closing costs, FHA, conventional. There's quite a few different options, and typically folks in today's market, they're just not qualifying for one. It's FHA and conventional, and then there's some different ways to structure conventional when it comes to mortgage insurance. So we've done our due diligence on our end. We have them pre-approved. The client knows what their options are. They're comfortable. We're sending them back your way. Hey, Elgin, they're good to go. Now what happens from there?
Well, first thing I do is smile. Now I know that they've been pre-approved, and since they've been pre-approved, now we can really go shopping. Because if you do the process incorrectly, one of the worst things that can happen is that I find you this dream home that you like, and then you come to find out that you don't qualify for it. Now my job is, when you qualify, to find you something that you really like at $500,000, but you qualify for $400,000. Just made my job a tad bit harder. But now that we've gotten them pre-approved, for me the next step is to have some sort of a consultation with the buyer so I can really, really lock in on what their wants and their needs are. Particularly in a market where you're tending to see a tad bit more inventory than before, I'd like to narrow down what is available for the buyer so that they can make a decision and not have to actually be that kid in the candy store and just, I want all of the deals. You only need one house.
Very true.
Yeah, nothing's worse than having somebody or clients fall in love with the house, or the wife especially fall in love with the house, than to find out they can't afford it. So.
Absolutely. So so once we get them in that sort of a position, then obviously the next step is trying to get them into the home. So
now, in terms of structuring an offer, the market's it's an ever-changing market, but today and maybe going forward here in the next couple of months, how are you educating your customers in terms of how they should attack the seller and actually getting that property?
It's interesting too, is I think that no matter what the market is doing, that one thing that I always tell my buyers is write an offer that gives the seller the ability to accept it. Yeah. So many people will write an offer, in my opinion, and they write their offer to get a counteroffer. Why do that? Why not structure your offer in a manner that will allow the seller to accept it? And if the seller can accept that offer at that point, make the seller, put the onus on them to make a decision. And I think that if you do that, in more cases than not, you will come to some sort of a happy medium where you will be happy, the seller will be happy, and you get into your home.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
Great information, guys. We want to thank everybody for joining us on this week's edition of the Real Estate Beat. Where can they contact you at, Elgin?
Contact me directly at 661-347-6248. And I'd love you guys to go to my website, which is Elgin and Pilar talkrealestate.com.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for being on the show. You can reach us at renoteam.com, or our office line is 661-254-7100, and we look forward to talking to everyone soon.